Western Hemisphere, or simply keep it in some mind pocket until needed to deflect the dark. As a child enthralled to midsummer light, enough to bicycle home at 9 o'clock, with no thought about the slant of it to come as days shorten and insects grow frantic and shrill about sex and death. I thought I could use it all up, euphoria, reserve nothing for later. Now I have mastered the art, or perhaps trick, of parsing it out in lesser portions to make it last, the way a flickering light can trick the eye to see it as a constant, and knowing this may be the antidote to everything. The next one is called Mclane. As you probably know from geology, is a hole in a glacier filled with meltwater. And this poem was inspired by a poem of Seamus Heaney, a poem called Postscript, in which he advised the reader to drive out to the coast of County Clare and let the wind and the waves and the light do its work on you. And so that inspired a poem about going to a glacier. Take the time to walk back to the place to be. Just off the highway between Jasper and Banff, park the car to board a snow bus that deposits you on the ice field, where you can guzzle glacial meltwater from a morass, water with the purity that preceded your species. Pay attention, or you could tumble into a crevasse from which you would not emerge until the ice is melted. Kneel down, touch the glacial tongue with reverence, but know that you violate it. Consider that it recedes and loses depth beneath your body, that it may disappear within the life of your child. Let the ice pierce a hole in you, even as it melts. 2 years ago, we were all writing COVID poems, and this is mine, called The Viscosity of Corona Time. The days become slow-moving water. The mirror blurs your face while your mind can barely skim the surface of anything. Quarantine causes headache, imbalance, numb spirit, flattened affect, symptoms seldom fatal, and a glass of wine may enhance perception of blended time. Things change only in sleep, when you can walk close to others, even touch a stranger. In dreams, the rules change. There are no masks. All intruders are visible. Though the virus may helicopter around you, even light on your hair or an eyelash, it is not mutated to invade the subconscious of REM sleep. In my childhood, they warned against swimming in the creek because polio might lurk in the water, waiting to kill or cripple children. But we did not wear masks, and we could touch almost anything. Mother liked to tell how she nearly died in the 1918 epidemic. In old age, she remained angry at the doctor who delivered a grim prognosis in deep voice at the door of her room. Father was a pharmacist who instructed me about proper hand washing, cloth covering, germs that linger invisible in the air, flit person to person, enter the body like an evil spirit. If he were alive, he would work through this epidemic, count pills, measure liquids, mix compounds, gloves, and masks. Tell me too often that he was right. I like to use poetry to try to have conversations with people that I can't have conversations with because they're long deceased, and usually it's pretty one way. This was an attempted conversation with Beethoven, wherever he is now. He glowers, as he often did before. I wonder if this will be possible. He was deaf. I don't speak German. Does language still matter, I asked? He shakes his head. This was to be your year, 250th birthday celebration. He half smiled. Every orchestra programmed you, all the symphonies and concertos, Missa Solemnis, Fidelio, Quartet. But a novel virus seized the living world. Everything had to be canceled. He shrugs, as though he knows, or perhaps doesn't care much. Do you pay attention to performances anymore? He shakes his head. I'm guessing you like the size of orchestras now. It's what you always wanted, isn't it? Again, he almost smiled. I am suddenly aware of music, unlike any I have heard before. What is that? Where is it coming from? It's not like anything you ever wrote. Finally, he smiles, motions me closer, speaks in a language I do not know, but understand. I am no longer bound by a system of tones that can be sketched on paper. I am truly free.
Wow. Okay. Oh, wow.
This one is titled Michelangelo's Dying Slave, and I wrote it after seeing the statue in the Louvre. It's incredibly beautiful. No pain mars your marble face, your pose almost erratic, left arm flung back behind your head, right hand fingering the spear slit in your chest, one knee bent, your David-like face tilted slightly away from us, eyes shut, your vision inward, release on your face as you die at your peak. Your body still radiates desire, like a new star. Even as you enter that space beyond desire, as if you hear a melody, like the Liebestod, composed 300 years after your dying was carved, that one-time song when love and death meld before the end. If you could speak, you would tell us nothing.
Wow.
This one is about Mendelssohn and a number of other things. His Songs Without Words are just this wonderful collection of piano pieces that I'm trying to play as many of them as I'm capable of playing. And that's what inspired this poem. Although it's also about spring and my mother and Scotland, which Mendelssohn inspired Mendelssohn. So it's meditation, spring, Mendelssohn, songs without words. It was never just about lengthening light, the sun shifting hemispheres, buds that presage blossoms, or my being born. There was always a darker side. And then death happened. Father at equinox, mother a few days before. Spring became about endings too. Whatever the season or infection circling the world, I returned to Mendelssohn's Lieder ohne Worte, songs without words for piano, and try to borrow from my conscious self any language but tone. These songs are not about anything. At times, at 9, Mendelssohn set Psalm 19 to music. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament show us his handiwork. Later, he decided words were too limiting. Poems could be built solely with tone. In the Hebrides, he created a landscape without words or paint, calling it first the Lonely Island. Open fifth chords flow like the ancient lava that formed hexagonal pillars of black basalt in single caves. He enters it with no skiff, just violas, cellos, and bassoons in the key of D minor. I encountered Scotland first through Mendelssohn and reflect on memories of Castle Campbell ruins, lonely in a field of heather, as I work out voicing and fingering of his arpeggiated chords. At the piano, my mother would allow no spoken words in the room. I take it further and exclude the silent ones as well. This poem is about Elijah Mclane, who you may recall was a young Black man who died as a result of an encounter with police. In Aurora, Colorado, I think 2 years ago. It never should have happened, but he did nothing. He was a very interesting young man. He was a massage therapist. He played the violin, which he had taught himself to play, and he played it in animal shelters. Elijah, who once played a violin for stray cats. He lived within a body often cold that struggled to breathe. He built his own boundaries, taught himself what he needed to know. His hands were a gift to skin and tissue in need of pressure without pain. He played the violin to calm stray cats taken from the streets and placed in cages. He told the police, "I was just going home. I'm an introvert. I have no gun. I don't do any fighting. All I was trying to do was become better. I'm so sorry. I'm just different. I just can't breathe correctly." They pressed his carotid arteries, cut blood flow to his brain, injected him with drugs. After that, he said nothing. His violin is still cold, has taken over. This is a somewhat lighter poem. A common exercise for poets is to write about a body part, and I chose feet because as you get older, they give you more problems. You should think about them more. Meditation on feet. So easy to take for granted after you stop trying to put them in your mouth. Discover they are useful to navigate the new, and easy to dress them in black patent leather, canvas saddle shoes, penny loafers, sandals exposing heels and toes. Then for a girl, high heels that hurt, with toes pointed, rounded, or squared. I danced for years in soft ballet slippers until old enough to put on the hard toe shoes I thought would transform me into Anna Pavlova or Mariah Twelshue. Toes wrapped in wool from the first shearing of the lamb, followed by the hard reality that to dance on toes violates some natural law of the body. I traded the peen for a piano, so easy on the feet. The right up and down on the sustained pedal, while the left works only once in a while to depress the soft pedals, moving hammers sideways to dampen the sound, or the sostenuto pedal in the middle that holds a single note for as long as desired. I laced my feet into boots to hide trails with names like Bright Angel, Cape Final, Bristlecone Loop, Queen's Garden, Zion Narrow, or to wander through broken remains of Ephesus and Pompeii. Eventually, they will let you down with their 26 bones to break in each foot, an abundance of nerves to pinch, compress, burn. You can paint their nails to give your feet a false glamour with colors like a mouthy blue or Bordeaux red. But in the end, all that satisfies is to abandon shoes, walk barefoot on sand, the prints soon to be obliterated.
Oh, boy.
This poem is called Ice Jam, and it's about an event that happened in my hometown of East Aurora in 1950. And I wasn't there that day, but a good friend of mine named Judy, I hope she's on Zoom. This is her story. She related to me, and I made a poem out of it. So this is for Judy. On the walk to kindergarten with my red-haired friend, the best part was Maple Street Bridge, where we paused to lean over the stone railing and peer at the creek. Dry by end of summer, inviting us to climb down the bank and cross stone by stone, or frightening with its muddy waters rush in early spring thaw, or clean with snow caked on ice in a low glare of winter. I was sorry to be home with chickenpox the day she saw something new. Two men hacking at thick ice, and stopped to ask what they were doing. The friendly one paused to explain that breaking ice would prevent damming of waters and flooded streets. Then he asked her name, and she asked his. And at home that afternoon, still excited, she told the story to her mother, who relayed in a matter-of-fact Irish way what was just reported on the radio. The man who had asked her name and told her his was swept away in a sudden surge of water and had not yet been found. He never was found. I do not miss the memory that could appear in my winter dreams, his smile and asking my name. Just one more. It's called The Year of My Birth, and I was born in 1944, so a lot happened that year. And it also brings in the sustained pedals like the poem did, which is titled Year of My Birth. Nazis had infested most of Europe. An amphibious force of liberators landed on French beaches just before summer solstice. The mission would take a year. In August, a girl of 15 was taken from an Amsterdam attic, sent by train to Westerbork, Auschwitz, Bergen-Belsen, always the head of Allied Advance. She did not reach 16. The City of Light was entered by American soldiers amidst cheers, outstretched hands, and kisses. Parisians gave them bread. They gave Parisians rice and cheese. Bing Crosby crewed a question. Would you like to swing on a star? Leadbelly sang goodnight to Irene, a suicide wish buried in his second verse. Leonard Bernstein conducted his first symphony, borrowing from Jeremiah's prophecy and lament for Hebrew suffering, a chorus with no words of hope or redemption. I crawled under the grand piano where Mother played her homage to a more romantic time, watched her right foot depressed, then released the sustained pedal, again and again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. Even your lighter poems pack a punch.